Today is June 11, 2016, and it is an extension of continuation of Daniel 3, and which we started last week. Daniel 3 is essentially the third angel's message, right? Yeah. The third angel's message. Okay. All right. Why is it the third angel's message? How is Daniel 3 the third angel's message? It is the judgment, right? It is the time of when you have to receive either the mark of the beast or the seal of God, right? Okay. Now, where did we end up last week? This is where we end up last week. We'll back up a few slides, and we'll do Daniel 3 verse 13 to 15. This is when Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because they have not bowed down, right? And they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods? You have to serve my gods, nor worship the golden image, because this golden image is the symbol of my gods. And remember the gods of Babylon. How many gods of Babylon? Oh, it's so many. Oh, no, there's so many. There's so many. Oh, there's... I went and looked at it. It seems like there's 30 or 40. For every occasion, there's a god. But there's 3 that are at the top, right? Yeah. Right. And you have not bowed down to my gods. You have not bowed down, meaning you have not served or worshipped my gods and the golden image which I have set up. Now, if you be ready that at what time you hear the sound of the 6 instruments of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. If ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? He's he's in rage and fury. Right. He made a commandment already, and they disobey him. Because of that, because of that, when the time of music played, you did not obey and serve my gods, you are going to be cast into a fiery furnace. And who is that God that is going to deliver you out of my hands? All right? Because my gods, let me just go here. All right. My gods are represented. This. Okay. There's 3 gods. Shamash is the god of sun. Right there. The god of sun. Moon is Sin or Nana. Right. And the 8-pointed star is the god of fertility and love, which is Inanna or Ishtar. So these are the three main gods, all right? And they're also represented in a triangle. These 3 are in an equilateral triangle. They're the top. There's so many below them, right? Okay. Eventually, they're also known as Baal, Semiramis, and Tammuz. Or Baal, Ashtoreth, and Tammuz, right? Okay. Daniel 3, verse 16 and 8 through 18. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. Our mind is already made up. We have made up our mind a long time ago. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from your hand, right? So he said, who's your God that's going to deliver you from my hand? And he says, our God will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image. All right? So deliver us out of thine hand. Now remember that Daniel 2 to Daniel 7 was written in Syriac, which is Aramaic. Right? It is not written in Hebrew. So deliver is shazab, which is leave or free. Who is going to free you out of... Yeah. Our God is going to free us out of your hand, right? Shazab. Okay. And hand means power or persecution, right? Right. Because we will not serve your gods. We will not worship your gods. Okay. Now this is in the Hebrew word. And the Hebrew translation is translated in delivering out of the hand is a concept that is in the Old Testament written so many times. I looked it up. I just put deliver and hand is like more than 150 times. Deliver out of the hand, deliver out of the hand. The first one is Genesis 32. Right, this is who? Jacob and Esau, right? Jacob he's now going to come back, and he's worried that Esau is now going to kill him and take revenge on him, right? Deliver me, or I pray thee, from the hand of my brother. So he's going to be delivered from the hand of... He asked to be delivered from the hand of his brother Esau, right? Now Exodus 3 verse 8. And I come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians. Right? Right, God saying that through to Israel through Moses, right? And Numbers 35 verse 25. And the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of the blood. Revenger of blood. So this is when you can run to the city of protections, remember?
Yes.
Right? A city of refuge. There's how many? Like 6 of them? Right. You can run there, and if you already committed a murder, they can't. You can find refuge in that city, right? So deliver out of the hand. This is the first 3 in the Bible. But we were studying a devotion, and I happened to see another deliver out of the hand, and this is from a Hebrew boy who was asking the king, who's going to deliver this? I will be delivered out of the hand. All right? There's a Hebrew boy who was asking the king, because remember, who's going to deliver us out of your hand? He was the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were boys talking to the king. So I said, this has to be the same story. Remember this story?
David?
Yeah. And David said to King Saul, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with you.
But David also wrote a lot in Psalms about deliverance.
Absolutely.
Of the wicked, these sinful.
The amazing thing is this story is essentially the same line as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Because there's a giant that he's fighting. Who's the giant that's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had to go fight? The image. Right. Okay. So we're going to go through this. Yeah? We're going to do a line upon line with the story of David and compare it to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And you're going to see that the instance, the line is essentially the same. Delivered is natsal, which is snatch away or rescue or save. All right? Okay. Daniel 11 verse. Who escapes out of the hand of the papacy in Daniel 11:41 to 44? Edom, Moab, and Ammon. That's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego Edom, Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. Right? So they're the Nethinims, right? They are going to escape, and then they're going to join the 144,000, right? We did that when we did our study in Daniel 11. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and little boy David represent the Nethinims. All right. Escape here means malat. Malat means escape. Malat. So Edom, Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon, they will malat out of the hand of the papacy.
Same as deliver.
Right, be delivered. Slippery. They're like a slippery fish. They run, escape. Right, and because the king of the north will be troubled because of the tidings out of the east and out of the north. Tidings out of the east is Islam, and out of the north that's the true king of the north shall come. Right? That's the tidings. And what is tidings? The prophecies. Right. Okay. All right, we continue. Daniel 3, verse 19 to 22. Then when Nebuchadnezzar, full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed. Okay, he was angry and his visage changed. So there's a change in the king of the north against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast them into a burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, their hats, their garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew these men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay, how does the king's visage change? How is that prophetically, how will you interpret that prophetically? The king's visage change. How is the king visage change? How is the king change? Now this is talking
From a lamb to a...
That's right. This is when the America changes from a lamb to speak like a dragon, right?
It speaks like a dragon.
But it does it progressively. It's not in one instant. Progressively it does this. All right? Okay. What about the 7 times? What is the meaning of the 7 times? The furnace is going to be 7 times hotter. 7 times hotter. It is their fire of persecution. It is their binding time. It's the hour that they are going to be cast into the fire. They're going to be persecuted. It's their 7 times. It's their binding time. Because how are they bound?
They will be bound.
How are they bound? In their
coats.
In their
clothes.
What's clothes prophetically? Yeah. Their character. Right. What are you going to go into your persecution with? You can only bring your character. That's right. They're bound. They went into their binding time in their character. Right. And we know what happened to their character when it came out? Completely intact. Why? It doesn't need to be changed because it was already perfect already. Right? Right. Therefore, because the king's commandments was urgent, the furnace was eating hot. And the fire actually slew some men. All right? Okay. All right. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound. So they fell down. Right? They fall down. During their binding time, they fell down. What does that remind you? How is that prophetically significant? They had a Mara vision. Right. Mara vision. Because why? They saw, didn't they see the Son of God?
The Son of God, and
Right.
they were a reflection.
Right. Yeah. So they had a Mara vision because they see the appearance of Jesus.
So
Right?
just like Daniel, he fell down.
Right.
He saw.
He had the Mara
He
vision.
had the Mara vision.
And he was perfected. Perfected when you're in your fiery furnace. In the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished. Astonished. He was amazed.
Yeah, he was amazed.
So Nebuchadnezzar was amazed. And rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound in the midst of the fire? Wasn't there 3? And they said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire. They have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God.
So he
Right.
know. He know.
Right, because he's already learned from Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel 1 and Daniel 2. He already knew who their God was. That's why he knew. Now it is the binding, they're bound in there is their binding time. So they're binding at a time. Now what is it? Did we not cast 3 men? What is that? It's an inquiry. Right. Right.
Midnight.
So this is an inquiry at what?
Midnight.
No, this is now at the Sunday law.
Is it?
Is there an inquiry at the Sunday law?
Yes.
Where?
Yeah, because the
It's very easy in the story of Balaam. Who speaks and asks, "Why are you hitting me?"
Yes.
Yeah, that's right at Sunday law, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And at that time, the king was astonished. This astonished is very peculiar because it's only mentioned 3 times in Daniel, and it's obviously it's in Syriac, which is Aramaic. The other one is Daniel 4 verse 19. There, Daniel was astonished. In Daniel 5, Belshazzar was changed and his lords were astonished. Right? The thing about it is it's all different words. And we're not exactly sure why it's different words, but it's all translated astonished. Not exactly sure why. Right? Someday we'll know. Right? He answered and says, Lo, I see 4 men. It is like the Son of God. Okay. This is the reason why is because Daniel, Shadrach, and Meshach, and Abednego are now the Nethinims. They represent the Nethinims. And as we were saying last week, this is exactly the reason why Daniel is not there. Because Daniel does not represent the Nethinim. Daniel represents the Levites and the priests. Right? Now, if Daniel represents the Levite and the priests, and his binding time is already past, is he like the Son of God already? Is his character perfect already?
Yes.
Right? So, this Jesus could represent Daniel, right? Because Daniel is like the Son of God. He's already, in a way you can say, on a certain level you can say, yeah, in a way, because Daniel is a Levite and a priest, his binding time is already done. He's gone through his binding time. He's already like the Son of God, right? And at that understanding. But obviously, when Nebuchadnezzar saw, it was Jesus. And this specific text has been changed in other versions of the Bible.
Sons of God.
Yeah, it's like the sons of gods.
The gods.
Right. Now, do you understand why they did that? Why did they change it to why is this 4th like the sons of the gods? Is there a reason why they changed it that way?
Trinity.
No, exactly. Oh, no, yeah, well, obviously, there has something to do it. why did they change it? There's a reason why they changed it like that. Now, did this happen before or after Bethlehem?
Before Bethlehem.
So, was Jesus already the Son of God before Bethlehem or not?
No.
Of course he's the Son of
He's
God.
the Son of God,
Yeah.
but not the Son of Man.
Not the son of
Right.
Yeah, he was already the Son of God.
He is already the Son of God before Bethlehem,
Before
correct?
Bethlehem.
Right. Where's the proof in the Bible? Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's why they change it.
Oh.
Because some people believe that he only became the Son of God. He only became a son after
He was
Bethlehem.
born
Oh, okay.
here. Oh,
That's true.
what?
They claim that he's like the Jehovah's Witness.
Oh,
They say
because
he's only becomes the son after he was born in Bethlehem.
because they don't believe that he is.
So they don't like this version because this is before Bethlehem. And here he is already,
The Son of God.
somebody acknowledged that he's the Son of God already. Right? So you understand why, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And astonished means amazed, take alarm, and sweeping. And remember, this is in Chaldean. Obviously, this is Daniel 3, so it's written in Aramaic. Okay. So here's our summary. We already did this. They set up and gathered in the plain of Dura, right? The 8 groups, 16. Well, 8 groups twice repeated. And there is a loud cry and there's a decree. And the music starts to worship the image. Now we're at the Sunday law. And those who do not worship that same hour have to go through their binding time, which is, since they're the Nethinims, this is their 7 times right here, right? Okay, that's the fiery furnace, right? The fiery furnace at the Sunday law. And the fury of the king. Fury of the king, and his visage changed because he really changed, because now America speaks like a dragon, for sure. Because now he's persecuting God's people that do not keep the Sunday, because he now passes a Sunday law here. He's now speaking like a dragon. Now the Nethinims who are fall and bound because there's binding time, and the king is astonished. There's an appearance of Jesus. So that's what kind of vision is that? That's a appearance of Jesus. That's a Mare vision.
Mare. Reflection is Mare.
Oh yeah, Mare vision. The appearance of Jesus, that's the 4th one, like the Son of God. The appearance of Jesus right there, right? The appearance of Christ. And there's an inquiry made. And this there 7 times. So when are they delivered? So they're in there for this there 7 times. That's the hour that they're in there, the 7 times, and they're delivered here, right? Because this is their binding time, and this is the end for their probation, right? Okay. Daniel 3, verse 26 to 27. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God. Now he's speaking as if he knows God. The Most High God, right? Come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. See, before he was saying, who's going to deliver you? Now he's talking about God, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, captains, and the king counselors. How many are there? 4. Right. There's a 4. So those 4 in the fire are witnessing to these 4 that are outside. What does that mean? Being gathered together, saw those men upon whose bodies the fire had no power.
As an ensign.
Yeah, they're lifted up as an ensign, and these are the foolish.
They're the foolish.
Right. So these are the foolish ones, right? They've been gathered together, saw those men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was a hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. So their character has not changed, because when was it already set? It was already set at the midnight cry. It was way before. Yeah, and what does, let's see, what does mouth mean? At the mouth of the burning fiery furnace means the gate, right? It's and a door. Is there a door at the Sunday law? Yeah, there's a closed door. There's a door. So mouth means door, right? Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God. All right, see? Now he's talking about the God. Before he was talking about his gods. Now he's talking about the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel. Is it his angel?
He just said the
His son.
son of God. Now it's said his angel.
Now is Michael an angel?
Yes.
Absolutely. So is there a contradiction? No, there's no contradiction, because Michael is an angel. He's the archangel. And delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word. Oh, there's a change. Changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Therefore I make a decree. Now he's make a decree to who now? Every people, nation, and language. So this is a universal decree. So is there going to be universal decree after they're delivered? At the time of their deliverance? At the universal Sunday law, right? When Michael stands up. Yeah. There's going to be a decree. Because there's going to be a decree at the Sunday law. Is going to be a decree afterwards? Right. It's going to be universal. It starts in America and it's going to go all over the world. That every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there's no other God that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. So there's a decree made to every people, nation, and language. All right. Testimonies, Volume 7. The earth has almost reached the place where God will permit the destroyer to work his will upon it. The substitution of the laws of men for the law of God, the exaltation by merely human authority of Sunday in place of the Bible Sabbath, is the last act in this drama. When this substitution becomes universal. What happens? God will reveal himself. He will arise in his majesty to shake terribly the earth. He will come out of his place to punish. How does he come out of his place? Yeah. He will come out of his... Michael stand up, because the judgment is now finished, right? What was he doing before? If he stands up now, what was he doing before? He was sitting. Right? Now he stands up and he comes out of the most holy place. He will come out of his place. He will come out of the... Right. Judgment of the living is finished, to punish the inhabitants of the world for their iniquity. And the earth shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. So the 7 times is finished for the Nethinims. But after that comes the 7 plagues for the world. So everybody has to go through their 7 times. Everybody has to go through it. Right?
Even if you're sitting down in peace and safety,
You still have to go through your 7 times.
you have to go through your 7 times.
Right? And at that time shall Michael stand up. Right? And there's going to be a time of trouble such as never since there was a nation even to that same time. Right? So we know that that's when the time of the 7 plagues. Okay. So, where were we at? So here's the 4. So the 4 wise. So the wise versus the 4 foolish. Right? The 5 wise, 5 foolish. So there's always the wise and the foolish. Right? They're going to be separated here. And then Here is where their clothes are not burned, right? Because there's a decree and they're promoted, right? So that's when Michael stands up. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego represents the 11th hour workers and are the Nethinims. Okay. So, we pretty much went through Daniel 3. But now we have to compare the story of David. Yeah. Now we will see that it basically has the same concept. That's the giant, yeah.
Lion is
It's the
The sons of Anak.
yeah.
Anak.
The story is in 1 Samuel 17 and 18. The Philistines gather at Shokah, which belonged to Judah, and Saul and his men were gathered together. So they were gathered, right? What about here? Were they gathered together? They were gathered. Nebuchadnezzar gathered together. Wow, they're gathered together. Look at this. Gathered together twice. Gathered together. Yeah. They were together at the plain of Dura, right?
So that's a gathering.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
At midnight, yeah. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath. And he was 6 cubits and a span. And he was all brass. Element of brass on his head, brass on his mail. This is his mail. His like fish scale. It was, and have 5,000 shekels of brass, and his greaves were brass on his, and his shoulders were brass. Everything was brass. And what about this? What about this giant?
Yes, gold.
And he's 60 cubits, 6 cubits, and all gold. Right? One is all brass, one is all gold.
Amazing how small stone and blade
And
cover everything. And the stone is Christ.
right. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them. He stood and cried. What is that?
Right? The midnight.
Loud cry.
Loud cry. Oh.
That's the loud cry, right? And what is the loud cry? Why are you come to set your battle and array, a man of the Philistine? What is that? Let's fight. If you win, I will serve you. But if you lose, you will be our servant and serve us. What does serving mean? To serve. Serve is worship. Right? Isn't that third angel's message? Then a herald cried aloud. To you it is summoned. For those who falleth not down and worship, they are not serving thy gods nor worship. So serving is worshiping. So the same thing, loud cry. So the loud cry swells up to the midnight cry swells up to the loud cry, which is the third angel's message. Serve is worship. Now this is Eliab. When David came down and he brought some food, right, for them, provisions, and he comes and says, "Hey, what's going on?" And they said, "Oh, let me go fight." And what did Eliab said? His elder brother heard him when he spake unto the men, and Eliab is angry at him. Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he says, "Why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, and thou art come down that thou mightst cease the battle." And then the words were heard, and the word got around in the camp that Eliab said this. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. So the word got around all the way until the king.
For somebody who wants to fight the giant. Okay.
Yeah, they says no, but they says no, you can't go fight the giant. You came here for another reason. I just want to be curious. Therefore, at that time, Sir Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. Right? There were certain Jews. Right? You know this?
Oh,
The Chaldeans, and there was the accusers. And what did they do? They went to the king. Now this is the story. When I was seeing this, I said, wait a minute. So is the brothers of David the Chaldeans? Initially it sounds like it. How are the brothers of David Chaldeans? You know, when you look at this, how did it first start? How did the rumor start? It started with the brothers. And then the rumor got spread around, and then eventually it went to the king. So it started with the brothers, and when you combine these stories together, it starts with the brothers and ends up with the Chaldeans before it gets to the king. So who's going to accuse you?
It's your brother.
Right. And who are they going to report to? The Chaldeans. And the Chaldeans is going to take it to the state. Isn't that how it goes?
Yes.
Is that the process works?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's our brother-in-law.
Yeah. The brothers are going to accuse you first. And then after that is going to go, they're going to report to the Chaldeans. Right?
To the police
And then it's going to go to the state.
Yeah.
I was looking at this and wow, this is quite amazing. I never realized this. David said moreover, the Lord, then Saul calls him. And Saul said, are you going to go fight? And he says, David said moreover, the Lord that delivered me, we read this already, right? Delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear. He will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee. Okay.
You know, it's just about what the brother said. You have the haughtiness of heart. He is thinking that David, because he was...
Naughtiness, actually.
Naughtiness. Right? Because he's able to kill the lion and kill the bear.
Yeah. You think you have
that
the...
he's, proud to be able to do these things.
Yeah.
Actually, he trusts in God.
Okay, this is actually prophetic. Right. Because you can think of it as it that way. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we will serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fire flame. All right. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is confident that God will deliver them, what? In the future, right? But what about David? David is confident because God delivered him already in the past. So what is this? What is his? He's relying on his experience. What does that mean? He had a plowing time, right?
He had the experience.
So what is the lion and the bear? That's his plowing time. His preparation for him to fight to the giant right now. That's his plowing time, right? You see that? Mm-hmm. Because this one is going backwards, this one is going forwards, right? So he's relying on his experience, He remembers his experience. I remember my experience back then when I was fighting, right? So he's relying on that experience. So he had a plowing time. And David girded his sword and his armor, and he essayed to go. And he says, here, Saul gives him all his stuff to go fight. Right, it was so big. It just didn't fit. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off. And he took in his staff in his hand, and chose 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. What does this mean prophetically? How do you go into your binding time?
With your own...
You go with your own clothes. You cannot use other people's clothes, right?
Your own character.
You go with your own character. So they were bound. How were they bound? In their own clothes. So he went there with his own clothes and his own apparel, right? And what did he take? Well, we know. Okay, what does the 5 smooth stones out of the brook? Okay, you should know this now. What is that now? How is that prophetically significant? What does that mean now? Why is it 5? And why is it smooth stones out of the brook? What does it mean to take stones out of the brook? It is not carved with the hands of men. Why is it smooth? If the stone has been in the brook, how is it smooth? It's already been purified. Who are the 5 that has already been purified before the Nethinims? Yeah. So who's he taking with him into the battle? The wise virgins, because the wise virgins have taught him, right? Because he already witnessed the wise virgins. That's like how he actually have seen them. And now he's taking their experience or what they have learned from him or what he has witnessed, right? So he's taking the 5 wise virgins. But they have already been smoothed in the brook, right? Not with man's hands. By the way, do you know what scrip is?
No.
Scrip is a yalkut, which is a wallet or a purse or a pouch, a receptacle. So in his shepherd bag, he also had a wallet. I don't know how that. Yeah.
It's like a little purse.
Yeah. Anyway, this is his outfit.
Yeah, to put his stones there.
Yeah. He has his own outfit. He cannot use. I think the moral lesson is the lesson is that you cannot use anybody's clothing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Nobody can give you your clothing. Your oil. Your experience. You have your experience, right?
Your experience.
Right. So the 5 smooth stones out of the brook, he's taking with them the things that he learned from the 5 wise virgins. Right. They have already passed their binding time.
Well, the script is probably the vessel for the oil.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a small purse.
Script is
The thing for you, what you put the experience in.
It's your in your mind. You study it.
Yeah, your vessel. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone. And that stone he smote the Philistine in his forehead. Right there it says in the forehead. How come some pastor said he didn't hit him in his forehead? Right there. It's in his forehead. That the stone sunk into his forehead. And he fell down upon his face to the earth.
Amazing, huh? Everything cover and then the stone can.
Right.
Because
He took it off.
Oh,
Yeah.
when they fight with
He wants to blaspheme the God.
I'm gonna put this on you and cover you with this.
So he actually took it off.
Oh, so not with the helmet.
No.
Yeah, he actually lifted it up. As soon as he lifted up, he's like, what is the stone? What is the stone that slayed the giant?
That's the feet of the.
What's that stone that went down and hit this giant? Well, actually hit it at the feet. It's Christ. Yeah. So this stone is actually Christ, the character of Christ, because the 5 foolish virgins already have the character of Christ, right?
Wise.
The wise virgins already have the character of Christ. So this stone is Christ, right? That's the appearance of Christ. See, that's why. That's when the Nebuchadnezzar that saw that the 4th one in the fire is like the Son of God, right? The appearance of Christ. That's the stone that David used to slay the giant. And the men of Israel, Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines until they came to the valley and the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way. Fell down by the way means they were killed, right? They met their violent death. in Philistines, right? They were pursued. So they were killed. Just like the men that tried to throw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were slain also into the fire furnace. All right. And David went out with whither Saul went, sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war. He became like a general.
Yeah.
What happened to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? The king promoted in the province of Babylon. What? Same story, right? It's really the same story. So what was different about it, though? There's a plowing time. Plowing time, and the stone is Jesus. Well, that's exactly pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. The thing that was different was the plowing time.
Well, wouldn't you say that them eating the pulse
That's actually right.
is also a plowing?
That's their plowing time. Absolutely, that was it. It did not say this specifically here, but we already know it in Daniel 1. That was their plowing time already. Yeah. Okay. So now there comes the summary. The summaries of the summaries. This is Daniel 1. The Jehoiachin was conquered. The fourth generation is Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They are the boys. They are the lost youth. They are the last generation, right? All right. They become eunuchs. And because they're last. There's no more. They don't have any more children. They're the last generation. So, do we believe that we are the last generation? Yes. Right. They're looked upon, right? And they have understanding. They're looked upon after 10 days, right? They said to Melzar, "Oh, prove us for 10 days." Right? And the end of the days, at the end of 3 years, they were found 10 times smarter by the king. So this is the Daniel 1. This is the summary of Daniel 1. And this is the experience of the priests. Right. This is the experience of the priests. Their binding time is right here, between midnight cry and midnight and midnight cry. Midnight cry. This is their 7 times. This is their hour right there. Now this is for Daniel in Daniel 2. Right? Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. Right? And Arioch went to Daniel and then says, "Wow, isn't that law is made in haste?" And he made a prediction, I will give you the understanding. But he asked for time. And he was revealed to him the secret. And then Arioch went in haste because he wanted to give, he wanted to, he took Daniel so they don't have to all perish, right? Because this is where they perish. Just like the story of Esther, they perish right here at the midnight cry. And this is the Sunday law, right? And he was able to interpret the dream, and he was made a ruler right here. So this is the story of, this is Daniel 2, this is the story of Daniel as a Levite. And his binding time is between midnight cry and the Sunday law, right here. That's his 7 times. So he was already, he's already a smooth stone in the brook, right? Right. Now, for Daniel 3, this is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The loud cry and the decree to bow down here when the music plays and all these, right, that we just went through, that's at the Sunday law, right? And there's going to be, their 7 times is between here and here. Okay. So the binding time is between here and here. This is the binding time. All right.
For everyone.
For all of them. For all of them, right? And this is when they're delivered, their clothes are not burned, and they're decreed and they're promoted. Okay. One thing that I realized there, when you go into the Bible and say the wheat and the tares will grow together until the harvest. Look at that and tell me, when is the harvest? When is the harvest?
Which one? The first?
When is the harvest?
Jesus
Oh, and
comes.
overall.
When Jesus comes.
It
Michael
all
says,
depends now.
Midnight cry.
It all depends on where you are. Because the midnight cry, there's a harvest there.
Yeah.
The Sunday law, there's a harvest. When Jesus comes, there's a harvest.
Remember, when you go into your binding time, you're separated, right? So every time you go into your binding time, you're separated, right? So they're separated here. The priests are separated here. The Levites are separated here. The Nethinims are separated here. So the whole thing is the harvest right here. This is the harvest. The binding times, they're all harvest. It's progressive too. Right. It's progressive. It's all progressive.
You could be either both a priest or you could
Yeah.
be both.
how can it be binding and then harvest at the same time?
Yeah, because you're separate. You're being separated already. You're being bound. You're being bound,
Okay.
right? When the wheat is already harvested and bound, and they're separated.
Okay. I was thinking of the harvest like at the end, like harvest.
No.
But then when you harvest, when you harvest, it's actually you bind at the same
Right.
time too.
The binding is
Because when you
like-
cut them, it's like you're
You bind.
harvesting them and then you bind it.
That is it, is
Right.
in there.
That's right.
Whenever we have
So the
harvest
priests,
of the rice, we bind
the
it
priests are
sometimes.
bound first, and then the Levites. It's a progressing time. So the wheat and tares, there's gonna be wheat and tares together here until they start getting separated. There's more separation here, more separation here. So now you understand
Yeah.
That's
what it
why-
means.
Yeah.
That's why the binding is also the sealing.
Yeah, they're stealing.
Sealing.
Yeah, that's
Right.
also another.
And then
Yeah.
burning is at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, but here the ones who are bound off to be burned, they're already closed their probation here.
It's close. Yeah.
There's some that are closing their probation here, some are probation closing here, and then eventually this is it. That's the end. No more after this, right? Because it's progressive.
Yeah.
So you have to remember it's all progressive, right?
Sealing time is progressive.
Yeah. So the emphasis also is on the effect on the other people that are affected by God's people. All right. What does it mean? Here, Ashpenaz was feared. He feared that the children are not gonna be ready.
Yeah.
They're gonna be skinny and
Right.
what? And Melzar,
Just-
right? So then Melzar had to prove them, right? Yeah. So, and the king found them 10 times better. So here you see what happens to the forces outside, the external forces of how they react to the priests. Right? Here also, Daniel has to give the prophecy, interpret the prophecy for the king, right? Right here. And here what happens to the king? The king now realizes who is the real God, right? Who is the true God, right?
Which is in the Sunday law.
Yeah. So you see all the things that happen to the priest. It's gonna be a witness. It's gonna be affect what happens, when everybody sees them, right? So when does the church triumphant get introduced first?
At the midnight.
It's got to be midnight here.
Maybe midnight.
Yeah, they become, because the first one that's bound here. Obviously, the priests they're bound progressively, but they are becoming the church triumphant right here. And this is when the first Levite will start to have to join, right? But when they join, remember, there's no more uncircumcised. When they join, they can't come and go. They join. They can't come and go. They can't sin no more. They will not sin anymore when they join the church triumphant. There's no more uncircumcised joining in. So once they make up their mind, they either lost or they join. Right there. Okay. All right. So this is Daniel 3 right there. Okay. Now one more to show that this is the story of David. David and Goliath, right? And that compares specifically with the story of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The main difference is this one actually went through their plowing time, the lion and the bear experience right here. But the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they had their plowing time here as well. It was not specifically said there, but we know they had their plowing time. But here we know David was telling of his plowing time, right? Because he had his plowing time ahead of time to get ready for it.
When they were trained by their mothers, I think it is.
Absolutely, right. They were trained by their mothers. They had to go through their plowing time right there. So their plowing time was all the way when they were trained by their mothers.
They don't want to eat meat.
Yeah, that's their plowing time too. Yeah. Yeah. Then they fell dead, smote, right? This is their, this is the son-in-law, right? Yeah. And then the head is delivered. David is promoted. I remember he had to deliver. Yeah, whose son is this? Oh, I don't know whose son is this. Let him come here. And whose son are you? I'm the son of Jesse. And then he took his head and he delivered the head of the giant Goliath to Saul. Right? This is when they're delivered. Their clothes are not burned and they're promoted. Right? This universal son-in-law is right there. Okay. Oh, all right. I decided to add this other thing, some additional, knowledge, I guess.
Archaeological.
Before they deciphered these cuneiforms, there was no proof in archaeology of the kings of Jehoiachin, that they went to Babylon. But now they found, this one is the Jerusalem Chronicle. They found this Jerusalem Chronicle, and it's in the British Museum, that proved that there was a king that was taken. And this king was taken in the 7th year, in the month of Caslimu, the king of Akkad, and the city of Judah also was taken. And on the 2nd day of the month of Adaru, he seized and captured the city and captured the king. So Nebuchadnezzar, he first went to this place here. Now this, the king of Akkad, Kasimu 11th, the line 11. Kasimu is November and December. They know this because the 7th year in the month of Kasimu, this was sometime in November and December. And in the 2nd month of Adaru, that's sometime in February and March of 597, Nebuchadnezzar, he came and conquered the city of Judah. And he captured the king. And then he appointed there a king of his own choice. You remember that? Yeah. Who's the king of his own choice that he conquered there? Yeah. He conquered Jehoiachin, right? And then he put his own king. He put the one that he chose was Zedekiah. All right, here we go. And Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city, and his servants did besiege it. And Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother and his servants and officers, and the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father's brother, in his stead, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Right.
So the 8th year is January and February now.
Yeah.
Is the Kalismo is November and December.
What happens is Jewish reckoning is inclusive. So the first year that he became king is year 1. But Babylonian reckoning is not inclusive. The first year that he becomes king does not mean it's his the year of his reigning. The first year is his year of ascension. Then the following year is his first reign.
Just like
Right.
now.
Yeah, so you start with, to them it starts with year 0. The first year is year 0. Then the following year is your
Year 1.
year 1. Yeah. But the Jews don't count it that way. The Jews says when you first crown king, that's it, your first year. So sometimes it's a little off, but if you know that principle, then things kind of match up now. Right, so that's proven. This story is proven in the cuneiform with that Jerusalem Chronicle in the British Museum. All right, here's another one. This,
They write stuff in stones.
yeah, this is the cuneiform. They write it right there, and people can read this. Right now, this one is the Pergamon Museum in Berlin, Germany. We're gonna make sure we see this. To Laocoon, the king. Right? This, it's somewhere up here. It's already broken down here, so you can't. They can't see it. But the things that they can read right here, and there's the king right here, and this king also came with another group of people that came from Tyre and Lydia, and now here. Now his is ration. He gets 10 selah of oil to Laocoon, that same king of right now they know it is the king of Yahud, which is the Judea. And 2.5 selah of oil to the 5 something sons of the king of Yahudu. All right? So he gets a ration. He gets 10 selah of oil and his 5 sons. It's repeated right here. 10 selah to Yahudi Jehoiachin. 10 selah to Jehoiachin, the son of the king of Yahudu.
The Jew.
He's the son because he's the son of Jehoiakim, right? The son of Jehoiakim. He's the son of the king of Yahudu.
Is that Judea?
Right, Judea, right. And 2.5 selah for his 5 sons of the king of, to the 5 sons of Jehoiachin, all right. This is very interesting, right? Why is this so? Because you got to look at here. 2 Kings 25, verse 27 to 30. And it came to pass in the 7th and 30th year of the captivity of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, that evil Merodach, king of Babylon, in the year that he began to reign. Evil Merodach is the son of Nebuchadnezzar. So Jehoiachin was captured and put in prison, but now evil Merodach, the son, releases him. Evil Merodach, king of Babylon, in the year that he began to reign, did lift up the head of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, out of the prison. And he spake kindly to him, and set his throne above the throne of the kings there with him in Babylon. Remember? There was Tyre, and there was other kings, right? Right, Lydia. And changed his prison garments, and he did eat bread continually. Well, he gave him rations of bread all the days of his life. And his allowance, did he get allowance there? 10 selah of oil? And continual allowance given him of the king, a daily rate for every day, all the days of his life. That proved this. It proved this 2 Kings. Jehoiachin. And how many sons did he have? 5. What did the Bible say? And the sons of Jehoiachin, the sons of Jeconiah, right? Asir, Salathiel, Malkiram, and Pedaiah, Shenazar, Jechamiah, Hoshama, and Nabadiah. How many sons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. According to here, to the Bible, there's 8. But according to the cuneiform, there's 5. Which one is right? Well, actually, remember who Salathiel is?
Salathiel is not his son. The son of his brother.
Right? Remember Salathiel, then it says Salatiel died, and Salatiel and what was his name? Zerubbabel is the son of Salatiel. But actually, Zerubbabel is son of Pedaiah.
Pedaiah.
Why? Because Salatiel died. So when they were in Babylon, Salatiel was dead already. And so there are two other brothers, because by the time the cuneiforms were written, there's only 5. So Salatiel had died, which is true, right? Because Salatiel is the father of, is counted for the father of Zerubbabel, when actually Zerubbabel is the son of Pedaiah, right? Yeah. So there you go. It's pretty interesting. What about Manasseh? This is a Sarhadon prism. Who was the Babylonian prince that came down and took Manasseh to Babylon? He was the Assyrian king. This is an Assyrian prism. And I called upon the kings of the country, Baalu king of Tyrus, Manasseh king of Judah, Kausgabri king of Edom, Musuri king of Moab, 12 kings of the seacoast, right? Manasseh king of Judah. All these, when they figure this out, they can prove that the Bible did really happen, All these things were not just, it's actually proven in the Bible. The problem with this that I see is actually when I read all the dissertations of the PhDs in Andrews. They go the other way around.
Yeah.
They say, well, you know what? It's not in the cuneiform, so the Bible must be, there's something wrong with the Bible, because we cannot prove it from the cuneiforms. Wait a minute. Isn't that supposed to be the other way around? We believe the Bible first, and then if there's something that supports it from the cuneiforms or the hieroglyphics, well, that increases our faith. But for us, the Bible is the standard, right? Anyway, I just added this because to me, this really just added more into the stories of Daniel, because there's more evidences that at the time of Daniel, Jehoiachin was still alive, right? So do you think Jehoiachin bowed down to the image?
The image.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Because there's only 3 there. 3 that stood up.
And all the children of Jehoiachin, they all bowed down to,
Bow down.
right? Because all the princes, everybody had to come there, right? Yeah. And that is the more sure word of prophecy. Okay. All right. Well, we'll finish with Daniel's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to continue with Daniel 4 next time. All right?